Okay, so I really wanted to make this video, but now it's like, I turn on the camera and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't like how I look right now. But that's not what matters, I guess, but I will be honest, because I try to be as honest and transparent as I can be. I don't know. I'm kind of regretting, but then if I do a video showing just the scriptures, I feel like those videos are not super personable, and I don't know, I personally don't like those videos. I like when I get to see someone's face, usually. But yeah, I don't know. So hopefully, yeah. Hopefully it's just all in my head. I don't know. But anyways, what really matters is, so I was reading. I know a lot of people don't like the extra books, and that's cool. Like, you don't have to like the extra books. For me, I've spent a long time listening to other people. A very long time. And I hate it. I want to be done with listening to anybody. And to that extent, of course, like, we should hear each other out. We should definitely listen to whatever Yahuwah and Yahusha are doing through others, you know. But at the same time, you know, I think that Yahuwah has the final say. And I'm not even saying Yahuwah told me to go read the extra books. What I'm saying is, for a while now, I wanted to test out the extra books for myself. And I wanted to just kind of get rid of all the opinions and stuff of men and women and just test it out. So I was reading some of Sirach today, or Shara, or Sirah, whichever you want to say. I think it's Shara, but I think people are more familiar with Shirach or Sirach. Hold on. Sorry, people walked in front of my car, and as we all know, I have to do jump cuts once that happens, I guess. So anyways, I was reading the book of Sirach. Whatever, so let's just say Sirach, right? I don't even know why it's called Sirach. There's not a chat in it. It's just like, hold on. Like, literally, that's what you see. Hold on. I don't know if it's focusing. Come on, focus. Oh, man. Well, if you guys can, like, hold on. It's because of me in the shot that it's not focusing on it. I don't know. Can you focus on it? It's not focusing, but okay. Like, you should see like a, oh man, that's bad. But you should see a Shan, a Harash, and an Alaf, right? So it should be Shara, I think. But let's just say Shara, why not? All right, so yeah, the book of Shara. And so I thought it was really awesome because I noticed a lot of people are struggling, myself included, with a lot of things. And it's bad, really bad, with everybody. Even if your struggle is worse than someone else's, for that specific person, they're going through it. So it does no good to say, oh, you know, well, mine's is worse, so you shouldn't even feel bad. Like, none of that garbage. We're all going through it. Anyways, so I wanted to read this. Hopefully I will put the verses up as well, which is going to be really hard because I am using the Hallelujah Scriptures version of the Matanim, or I don't know how you would say it. I don't know if they have it. Oh yeah, they do. Ooh, that's a tough one. Matmunim, I think. I don't know if you can see it. I think it would be Matmunim, I think. But anyways, so I don't think they have it online. I can't copy and paste it. So there's gonna be a lot of typing. But I think it'll be worth it, Yahuwah willing. Hopefully there's not gonna be any typos. Yahuwah willing. I was gonna say pray for me, but by the time you see this, I would already have finished it. So that made no sense. But okay. I'm over-explaining. I'm fighting the urge to over-explain what I just said. But I'm gonna go for it and say it anyways. But then again, I don't know if, you know, if like our prayers, even though like we're praying for a past event, could affect the past, because Yahuwah's not stuck to time, and so like maybe, yeah, okay, I'm over-explaining, but whatever. I'm wasting time, sorry. There's something I'm trying to get better at. Let's start reading, sorry. Okay, my son, if you come to serve Yahuwah, prepare your being for trial. Prepare your heart and constantly endure. And do not hasten in time of trouble. Cling to him and do not depart. that you may be increased at your latter end. Whatsoever is brought upon you, accept cheerfully, and be patient when you are brought low. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he shall help you. So I'm kind of like going through it a little bit faster than I'd like, but I think it's really amazing when it says, my son, if you come to serve Yahuwah, prepare your soul, or prepare your being for a trial. It's like, if we're going to serve Yahuwah, then of course we're going to go through trials. I think Yahusha makes it clear. Maybe I can put the verse up if I can think about it, but I think it's, you know, that there's going to be many trials and hardships in this walk, paraphrasing heavily. So it really lines up with that, in my opinion. And so it's like, we can't expect to literally be on this walk and not go through hard times. You know, we're just gonna have to. And I think it's all approved or denied by Yahuwah. I do believe that we can believe and take examples from the book of Job. I know that Job was a perfect man, but I also think that the reason why we're knowing about Job's life and that story and what's going on in Shamim and the enemy coming to Yahuwah and asking him for permission to do this to Job, and if you do this, then he'll do that. He'll curse you to your face if you let me do this and all that. If you take away this, then he'll do that. I think that's literally what goes on in Shamim, because the book of Revelation says, and hopefully I'll try to find it. Hopefully. I guess you can consider this my editing cue. So like when I'm editing, I see this, you know, and I'm just like, oh yeah, all right, cool. He is the accuser of the brethren. He's the accuser of the brethren. And so I think that there's also another verse that says, you know, that he's thrown down from Shamim to earth, and like, hallelujah, but woe to those on earth. So I do believe that he possibly, I don't know that I know the timeline perfectly, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that I even fully believe this, because I could be wrong, but I am saying, like, in terms of the timeline. But I do believe that possibly right now he is up there, you know, asking. And I don't think it's just one person. I think the enemy is plural. I think there's so many that are possibly like asking for permission to do this, or having to ask permission and authority to do this. Sorry, there's something distracting going on. But, you know, yeah. So anyways, prepare our heart, prepare our soul for trial. I believe that we're going to have to go through that. So anyways, I believe I stopped at verse 8, if I'm not mistaken. But I will, I'll start at verse 6, because I think that's where I stopped. I'm not sure. Believe in him, and he shall help you. Establish your way, and trust in him. You who revere Yahuwah, wait for his kindness, and do not turn aside lest you fall. You who revere Yahuwah, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. You who revere Yahuwah have expectancy for good, and for everlasting joy and kindness. Look at the generations of old, and see, did any ever trust in Yahuwah and were put to shame? Or did any remain in his reverence and were forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For Yahuwah is full of compassion and kindness, patient and very tender-hearted, and forgives sins, and saves in time of affliction. So I think that's really amazing. It's just like, really, I feel like we have to just ask ourselves that, you know? Did any ever trust in Yahuwah and were put to shame? No. Or, you know, or did any remain in like his fear, his reverence? Like they remained in his reverence, serving him and fearing him, I believe, and revering him, and were forsaken? Like, we know Yahuwah's character. No, it's never gonna happen. And even if you feel alone right now, even if you feel like, oh man, like I've been going through this thing for a long time, for years, for months, for weeks, I feel forsaken. I feel like I've been put to shame. But like the thing is like we read the scriptures and we might see like an event pass by, and then we flip the page or we go down a few verses and then like the person's delivered, right? Or like things just change around for that person right away. And so it's easy to try to like compare that to our lives and say, oh man, you know, like, well, this person in the scriptures, they had a speedy deliverance, or oh man, they had a speedy recovery, or oh man, like their situation changed at a drop of a hat. But the thing is like when we really do pay attention to the scriptures, like I think Joseph or Yusuf or Yehusaf, whatever you want to say, Joseph. I'll just say Joseph right now. Joseph in the book of Genesis. He became a slave when he was 17, and he didn't become second to Pharaoh until he was 30. 13 years. In some of those years, he was literally a slave, and then he was thrown in prison, wrongfully accused for violating someone's wife, which he did not do that, but they falsely accused him, and he was thrown into a dungeon. But Yahuwah's favor was with him throughout all those evil events. It didn't mean that the trial was taken away. He was still thrown in the dungeon. He was still falsely accused, but he became, I forgot what it said he was, but he became something high up even in the dungeon. I forgot the right wording, so I'll probably just, put that, what he became in the dungeon, Yahuwah's favor. And wherever he went, his wisdom followed. Wherever he went, the favor followed. That didn't mean that trials, because again, remember verse 1 of Shirah, chapter 2, prepare your being for trial, prepare your soul for trial. Joseph knew. Joseph went through trials. So many. 13 years. 17 to 30. I'm not even 30 yet. I'm 25. I'm turning 26 soon, Yahuwah willing. I'm young, yes, I know. A lot of people will start to hold that against me. Go for it. But, and I am young, so I also have to know that, my place on a lot of things too. I get that. But I'm not even 25. So if I was Joseph, like literally that would be 8 years into my trial. And I would still have like 4 to 5 left. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Time is something. Like time goes slow. Like if you feel forsaken, you feel like you feel like you were put to shame because you were trusting and revering Yahuwah, maybe it's because you're not waiting long enough. I know I have. Like I felt forsaken sometimes. I felt like I was put to shame sometimes. But then like I just keep going because that's all we have. That's the only option we have. Unless we like take our own life, Yahuwah forbid, or we give up on the walk, Yahuwah forbid. All we have is to keep going and endure through the pain, endure through the horrible days, because we're going to have horrible days, we're going to have good days. But the only option we have is to just trust Yahuwah and wait on him. That's the only thing we could do. That's the only thing we have control over. And even then, like his influence is on those decisions. It's not even just us. Like even waiting and trusting in him is his strength. And so we have to just literally get on our knees and cry out to him and get busy, a busy bee has no time to be sad. I thought that was really awesome. My brother sent me that, and it was really cool. I really love that brother a lot. Really do. You know who you are. I don't know if that was a good wink. Sorry. That was probably really cringe. But oh well. You guys are used to that by now. Anyways, I think I was on verse 12. Verse 12. Okay. Woe unto verse 12. Woe unto fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goes 2 ways. Woe unto he who is faint-hearted, for he is unbelieving. Therefore he shall not be defended. Woe unto you that have lost patience. And what shall you do when Yahuwah shall punish you? Those who revere Yahuwah shall not disobey his word, and those who love him guard his ways. Those who revere Yahuwah seek that which is pleasing. Verse 16. Those who revere Yahuwah seek that which is well-pleasing to him, and those who love him shall be filled with the Torah. Those who revere Yahuwah prepare their hearts, and humble their beings in his sight, saying, we shall fall into the hands of Yahuwah, and not into the hands of men. For as his excellence is, so is his kindness. I'm on. And I wrote down a verse from the 66 books that reminded me of that from verse 18, saying this is still Shirah, chapter 2, Shirah chapter 2, verse 18, saying, we shall fall into the hands of Yahuwah and not into the hands of men. Partially, I didn't read the whole verse, but so from the 66 books, it's 2 Samuel 24, verse 14. 2 Samuel chapter 24. Sorry, I was not very prepared for this. 24, verse 14. It reminded me of this. And the sovereign, wait a minute. Was it really 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 14? I guess not. Okay. Well then, maybe it was 1 Samuel chapter? Sorry, I don't know if I wrote it down right. Okay. All right, I'm back. Sorry. I got super confused. I couldn't find the verse for some reason. So, yeah, I guess it is 2 Samuel 24, verse 14. All right, and dude said to God, so I'm gonna put it up here, hopefully Yahuwah willing. And dude said to God, I am in great trouble. Please let us fall into the hand of Yahuwah. For his compassion is great, but do not let me fall into the hand of man. I just, kind of not really the point of the video, but I thought it was beautiful and it reminded me of that. And it's so true. You know, Yahuwah is so full of compassion. I'm not sure what's going on with the lighting right now, but Yahuwah is so full of compassion, and I think it's really beautiful. Now we can really just fall into his hand with anything. I guess it does tie back to the point of the video, because we can fall into his hand in the sense of, like, if we're going through a trial, if we're going through something and it's really hard, we can, and this is what I'm struggling with right now, and trying to trust him the best I can with. So when I say this, just know that I'm not perfect at this. And anybody who knows me personally knows that I'm not good at this. I'm trying to get better at it though. And that's what I would hope that people who know me see that I'm trying to do, is let go and fall into his hands and just give it to him. And I've been falling short in that for a very long time. Oh man, even recently. So it's just like, yeah, and I've man, like recently I've been like a whole different person lately, emotionally. So definitely not saying this from a place of mastery or perfection, definitely not. Because it's, at the end of the day, I mean, I could put on a show and an act and a mask and whatnot, but I'd rather just be honest and transparent and, you know, let you guys know that I'm not perfect at all. And I think anybody who truly knows me knows that I'm not. And I know that bothers people. Like, they're like, oh, you shouldn't say this and that, and oh, like, yeah, that's just like, why wouldn't I? Like, I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I don't want to hide stuff. So for me, it's like, yeah, no, I'm not a perfect person. I try to be, but I fall short. And so, but my whole point with that is, I think that even if we're going through the hardest thing in our lives, which a lot of us are, I'm not even trying to include myself in that, because there's people who have it harder than I do, but I'm just saying, specifically for the person, the individual, it might be the hardest thing that they've been through, or one of the hardest things that is hard for them because emotionally it's the hardest. Maybe not physically, maybe there's been physical things that have happened to them that were on paper worse, but emotionally it wasn't as bad as this, you know, things like that. Whatever it is, financial woes, housing woes, relationship woes, spiritual woes, health woes, anything, whatever, like, not whatever, but anything. Like, I think that we can just let go and trust in Yahuwah. And it's a process. We might still be holding on. We might still snatch it back every time to time. We still might be reaching out and trying to grab it back. And then Yahuwah smacks our hand, and then it hurts, and we're crying for a few days. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. But it's because he wants us to learn and do better. And he has better, or it's just not the time, or whatever. But my whole point is like, if we're gonna serve Yahuwah, prepare your soul, prepare your being for trial, because we are going to have trials. We're going to struggle. There's no way around it, and we shouldn't want it any other way, because gold is refined through the fire, and we're gonna be more precious. We're already precious. We're in a world full of common rocks. We're in a world full of people partying and drinking and doing crazy stuff and being evil, cheating on their spouses, doing absolute wickedness, sacrificing children, doing crazy stuff, absolute garbage and wickedness that would make anybody who's sane angry. We are surrounded by that. People who do not love Yahuwah and Yahusha, they do not care about his ways. They don't care about anything that has to do with the scriptures. We are surrounded by that. Billions of people like that. And so we're valuable. Don't say that in a prideful way, not to puff anybody up, because we are also nothing. We're nothing, but we're valuable. We're only valuable because of him. and what he thinks of us. But in of ourselves, we're nothing. We're not valuable because of us. We're not valuable because we can play a guitar or play drums and sing well. Like, no. We're not valuable because, like, we can put on a study together and we're, like, super... Like, no, if we're thinking like that, then we already missed the point. It's Yahuwah helping us play those instruments. It's Yahuwah helping us sing. It's Yahuwah helping us put those studies together. We're nothing. But we're also valuable. We're valuable because he loves us. And he sees us valuable. And he's making us more valuable. So literally, it's like a common rock remains a common rock. And if anything, it loses its value over time. But for us, we're precious gems that are increasing in value every single day. Every trial, we're getting more and more valuable. There's no man on this earth, the richest man on this earth could not buy even one of us because we're that valuable. Spiritually, if we could see how valuable we were spiritually and how many guards, I believe, like messengers, how many guards Yahuwah has over us, we would probably cry. For weeks on end, for months, for years, we would probably cry because we would see how much protection and care he has over us because we're that valuable. And I normally don't talk like this, but I feel led to say this. I believe that we are immensely valuable. And so if you're struggling, if you're going through a trial, just know that there's probably like 50 messengers around you ministering and fighting off the enemy and all these things. Like, literally, Yahuwah has not forsaken you. Literally, there's a few examples I want to say. I don't have the verses, and I don't think I'm going to put them up right now. But I think, like, you know, if you read the word, then you can kind of, you know what I'm talking about through the loose paraphrase. But forgive me that it's a loose paraphrase. I don't have it prepared right now. But, you know, in the book of Numbers, you know, Balaam, the prophet, basically had a donkey. And the donkey, I don't know if animals can see the spiritual. I don't know. But the donkey, for some reason, could see the messenger of Yahuwah, but Balaam could not through his fleshly eyes. I believe none of us can see we can't see the spiritual. We just can't. Some people seem to claim that they can. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they can, but for the most part, most people cannot see the spiritual. But the donkey could, and so, you know, for me, I think that's really amazing because when Yahuwah opened the eyes of Balaam, he could see the messenger of Yahuwah, and his whole attitude changed. And another example, I think it's in 2 Kings, when Elisha the prophet and his servant, when the army was coming after them, he was like, "Oh, master, what should we do?" And then he's like, Elisha says, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And then he prayed to Yahuwah. He's like, "Yahuwah, open his eyes so that he may see." And then he saw all these chariots and like all these like messengers, I believe, and like he saw the spiritual, and like then he knew what Elisha saw, because Elisha had a double portion of the Ruach. And so I believe possibly he could see the spiritual, maybe 24/7. I don't know. It doesn't really say, but it does say that he saw. He seemed to have known, whether spiritually or if he saw it. Like he already knew, and he asked Yahuwah to open the servant's eyes so that he could see all the provision around them, like all these armies of Yahuwah around, like the army of Yahuwah around them. So for me, it's like when something's precious, you guard it. When something's precious, you don't just leave it. Someone might steal it. Someone might take it. Someone might swoop it up and take it and do whatever with it. And you'd be upset because it's valuable to you and you love it. And you don't want anybody to touch it at all. You definitely don't want anybody to take it for theirs, to be theirs, because you love it and it's valuable. And that's what we are to Yahuwah. And I truly believe that he sets his messengers over us. I think the Psalms says it too. Hopefully I'm remembering correctly. Like he charges his messengers over you, paraphrasing, sorry. But like, you know, I would imagine if you were to see, if Yahuwah were to open your eyes, you would see, I don't know, so many messengers fighting for you. Like there's probably fighting back demons, maybe fighting back fallen messengers. I don't know. I mean, I think even in the book of Daniel, it says like that, oh yeah, I think it was Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken, like I heard your prayer 21 days ago, but I was pretty much hung up, or like I was pretty much slowed down by the king of Ashur, if I remember correctly. I mean, I think it's something spiritual over the king of Ashur, not a fleshly man keeping back a messenger that is in the presence of Elohim. If that's, I believe, if I remember correctly, Gabriel is the same one. I think in Luke it says that he is in the presence of Elohim, so it's not just a man that's held up by another man. I believe it was a messenger held up by probably another messenger who is probably fallen. Again, I know a lot of people don't like the spiritual talk, but there is something spiritual going on behind the physical. We can't deny it anymore. So anyways, getting sidetracked. My whole point is, we're all struggling. Just know that you guys can reach out if you guys want, if you feel led. Reach out. Maybe I'll put my email, but just know it's just messiahyahusha@gmail.com. Literally, if you could spell Messiah in English, and if you could spell Yahusha and just put an @ in gmail.com, then you got me. You can reach out to me. I might not be much help financially because I'm trying to recover there, but hopefully I can be of any assistance spiritually, praying for you, maybe talking to you. And even then, like, sometimes I get really, like, you know, I'm also struggling, so I might take a while to respond sometimes. Forgive me for that. Depending, you know, but yeah, you know, but the whole point is just keep going. Trust Yahuwah. That's what I'm trying to do too. But just know you're not alone. And remember, Sirach chapter 2, very encouraging book. I mean, very encouraging book, yes, so far, but very encouraging chapter. And I really love that. My son, if you come to serve Yahuwah, prepare your being for trial. So let's just prepare our beings for trial. And remember, did any ever trust in Yahuwah? Like it says, look at the generations of old and see. So like like the generations of old are the people in the scriptures. Really pay attention to that. You know, did any ever trust in Yahuwah and were put to shame? No. You know that. No. Like literally from the scriptures, no. We know that. Hold on to that. Or did any remain in his reverence and were forsaken? Like, was Abraham forsaken? Was David forsaken? Were the prophets forsaken? No. But did they go through things? Yes. Like David's own son tried to kill him. Literally, Abraham had to literally fight for his nephew back. And if you believe in the extra books, like there's more crazy stuff that Abraham went through. I know in the 66, it doesn't seem like he went through a whole lot, but if you believe in the extra books, then you know he went through quite a lot. Not forsaken, not forgotten. He was not put to shame at all. And whom did he ever despise that called upon him? If you call on his name, he does not despise you. If you revere him, he will not forsake you. If you put your trust in him, you will not be put to shame. And there's a really awesome sibling that I know who brought up a verse, I believe in Isaiah. I believe I'm paraphrasing, but I'll hopefully put it up. Those who put their trust or wait on Yahuwah will not be put to shame. Sorry, there's like a child crying over there. But those who put their trust in Yahuwah will not be put to shame. So I thought that was a really awesome verse that really comforted me at the time. So, and if you know, there's another verse that I feel like Yahuwah has been trying to tell me for years. And I'm trying my best to actually put it into action, and pray for me on that. But it's like, seek first, hopefully I'm not paraphrasing, I think I might be, but seek first the reign of Elohim and all these shall be added onto you. And it's like, if you are struggling because you're lacking something, whether food, clothing, shelter, a spouse, anything, seek first the reign of Elohim and all these shall be added onto you. So it's like, all right, like let go, struggling with that myself. Let go, give it to Yahuwah. Seek first the reign of Elohim. Literally, the whole thing that I'm trying to get at is like, let's just literally dive headfirst into serving him, and whatever we need is just gonna come meet us by surprise, hopefully, you know? I told someone very special to me, and I haven't been doing a very good job at this, but I've told someone very special to me that, you know, with Adam and Chua, Adam and Eve, basically, you know, when Adam was so focused on the rain, well, yes, I believe, what Yahuwah told him to do, you know, tend to the garden and other things, I believe, you know, like naming the animals, you know, taking care of the garden. then like Yahuwah of his own heart, I don't even think Adam noticed that none of the animals were his helpmeet, obviously, right? But I believe, but Adam was just so focused on the task at hand, and Yahuwah out of his own heart was like, I am going to make a helpmeet for him, and I'm going to bring. So it's just like, if you're worried about a spouse, if you're worried about food, clothing, anything like that the nations worry about, like, he will, like, out of his own heart give it to you. But just, I believe he wants to spend more time with you, and you seek his reign. And, you know, I think that whatever it is, when you're so busy with the reign and you're not focused on the other thing, I think it'll just catch you off guard when it's like right in front of you, and it was from the hand of Yahuwah. And if it's from the hand of Yahuwah, it'll be better than anything that you could produce or provide for yourself by your own hands. And pray for me that I can truly believe that and practice that. I've been struggling with that. So in no way is this coming from a perfected or mastered, like I have no mastery in this, I have no perfection in this, is what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, I love you guys. Shalom. Feel free to reach out via email, and know that I love you guys a lot. It's probably a long video, but hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it's like us fellowshipping together. So yeah, shalom.